I almost didn't go. Thanksgiving had become a logistical problem for me, not a tradition. I was staying on a friend's couch that month, my suitcase tucked behind a door so it wouldn't look permanent. I borrowed a sweater that didn't quite fit and told myself it was easier to show up than to explain why I couldn't. The house was loud when I arrived. Water spilling into the driveway, the smell of roasted food, and something sweet burning slightly. Everyone looked settled, rooted. I stood in the doorway longer than necessary, waiting for someone to notice me so I wouldn't have to announce myself. My grandmother did. She was sitting at the head of the table, wrapped in a shawl like a judge's robe, eyes sharp despite her age. She squinted at me, then smiled too widely. There you are, she said. Come here. I took a few steps forward, already bracing. She didn't lower her voice. Why? She demanded, pointing her fork for emphasis. Is an elderly couple living in the $1 million vacation home I bought for you. The room went silent so fast it felt rehearsed. I laughed once, a short, confused sound, because surely I had misheard her. Then I saw the faces around the table, my parents frozen, my sister suddenly very still, and the laugh died. What are you talking about? I said. My voice sounded thin, like it belonged to someone else. I'm homeless right now. That word landed awkwardly, heavy and embarrassing. Someone coughed. Someone else reached for a glass they didn't need. My grandmother's expression shifted, not to concern, but to disbelief. Don't be dramatic, she said. I made sure you were taken care of. I looked at my parents. They didn't look back. I looked at my sister. She'd gone pale, her mouth slightly open, as if she were calculating how fast something was unraveling. I don't have a home, I said again, slower this time. If you bought something for me, no one told me. The silence stretched until it became uncomfortable enough that no one could pretend it was polite. That was when the doorbell rang. My mother stood too quickly. I'll get it, she said, already halfway out of the room. When she returned, she wasn't alone. The man with her was neatly dressed, carrying a slim briefcase, his expression neutral in the way professionals cultivate when they expect resistance. He introduced himself quietly, but everyone heard. I'm here regarding the trust, he said. My grandmother straightened. Finally, she said. Maybe you can explain why my granddaughter is being lied to. The lawyer glanced at me, then back at her. That depends on what you believe the trust was intended for. He didn't sit. He opened the briefcase and placed a folder on the table, carefully, as if the wood itself mattered. As per your instructions, he said. The property was purchased under the family trust, with your granddaughter named as the beneficiary upon certain conditions. What conditions? I asked, before I could stop myself. He looked at me directly for the first time. That's part of the confusion, he said. Those conditions were amended. My sister inhaled sharply. The lawyer continued, still calm. The trust was modified last year. The property is currently occupied by tenants approved by the trustee. And who is the trustee? My grandmother asked, her voice tightening. The lawyer hesitated for a fraction of a second. Long enough. Sister. I said. No one corrected me. My grandmother stared at my sister, then at my parents. You let this happen? She asked. My sister finally spoke. It was temporary, she said quickly. You were busy. And they needed a place. And I thought, you thought you could use her name. My grandmother said, cutting her off. To make it look generous. The word generous hung in the air like an accusation. I felt strangely detached, as if I were watching a scene from a distance. Pieces slid into place, not dramatically, but with a dull sense of inevitability. The reason no one had checked on me. The reason my requests for help had been met with vague reassurances. The reason my struggles had been dismissed as poor planning instead of absence of support. I had been written into a story to make someone else's choices look kind. The lawyer cleared his throat. There are also concerns, he said, about misrepresentation. Specifically, about the beneficiary's knowledge and consent. My grandmother turned to me then, her anger softening into something closer to grief. Did you know any of this? She asked. I shook my head. No. She closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, the room felt smaller. "This will need to be corrected," she said. My parents started talking at once, excuses, explanations, appeals to family unity. The lawyer raised a hand. "Given the circumstances," he said, "I've advised that all occupancy arrangements be reviewed, and that the beneficiary be directly involved going forward." No one cheered. No one looked relieved. Dinner resumed eventually, awkward and subdued. Plates were passed. Conversations restarted in fragments. I barely ate. My appetite had disappeared, replaced by a hollow steadiness. After dessert, my grandmother asked me to walk with her to the porch. The night air was cold, sharp enough to feel grounding. "I thought I was helping you," she said quietly. "I thought you were settled." "I wasn't," I said. Not accusing. Just true. She nodded slowly. "I should have asked." "Yes," I said, "that was all. I didn't leave with keys or promises. The house didn't suddenly become mine. The elderly couple didn't vanish overnight. Real life doesn't resolve that cleanly. But when I left, no one stopped me. No one told me to be grateful. No one corrected my version of events. For the first time in a long while, my life wasn't being narrated by someone else. I walked back to my borrowed car, the cold biting at my hands, and felt something unfamiliar settle in my chest. Not victory, not closure, but clarity. I had been erased quietly. And now, just as quietly, I was stepping back into focus.